And at the same time, I just was like, you know, can I help you? It'd be like somebody knocking on your door, oh, this package was delivered to the wrong house and I'm bringing it. That's what it felt like. And that's really how it started. I couldn't understand them in English, so it was like I would hear different tones. Eventually, those tones turned more into dolphin, whale type tones. And then it would just be like this boom, this download. And the download was, we need you to go to China. There's a blue light coming that's going to shift the world. And we need you to go to China to get the prophecy. It wasn't like, hello, my name is Blue Light
No
Being.
small, no small
How
talk.
are you?
They go to China.
Would you like a cup of tea? I mean, it was nothing like that. And but I could feel that it wasn't optional. And I know you, and you're probably very aware, it's always optional. But life may not be very comfortable if you're supposed to move forward
This
with
is the
something.
highest path. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what happened. I went to China and I got the prophecy.
I happened to be listening to one of your talks earlier and about how you went round a lot of Taoist masters
Yeah.
and they were all telling you that the wisdom was within yourself and you got to a
Yeah.
place where you were just about like, I can't hear this one more time, you were just about to go home and you went to one last Taoist master and I just thought it was an incredible story. I also have to share that that's my I've worked with Master Mantak, Taoist master for
Oh,
20 years.
I've
I
read
love
all of his book.
Taoism. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love Taoism. And it's really interesting because I had Hope Fitzgerald before you, Master Manchakchir before that. And when I was listening to your podcast today, I thought there's something going on here that's just too uncanny that you're talking about Taoist masters.
Well, and I did not know that in China, uh, I would not be considered odd. It's very, people go to psychics. It's just a part of their, they may have divination where they throw these, they look like little chopsticks that have certain symbols on them. Like there's so acupuncture, acupressure, uh, different channelings, channeling energy. They do all of those things, but I was not familiar with any of that. So when they began testing me, um, when I travel around here, nobody knows who I who I am. Nobody knows what I do. Nobody cares. If you said, "Oh, I'm a full-time psychic," oh, that's nice. Well, I've got to
Not
go.
part of the
But
culture.
but there,
Yes.
it's like, all right. So they asked me to read, this person. Okay, now read that person. Now read that person. Now read that person. And I don't think that people, maybe they're not so familiar as a psychic. When you're holding a focus to bring through psychic information, your pineal really lights up. And the energy is like a laser light. I mean, this is how I'll describe it for me. And then that laser light hones in on what I'm supposed to share. Well, it's like, holding 100-pound weights, for a long period of time. Eventually, you just need to put them down. There was one Buddhist master, head of this enormous temple. And when I just asked if I could have a little bit of a break, like this is a lot of energy for me. And he just walked out. He was just, I mean, they were rude. Well, I wasn't totally rude, but he just couldn't be bothered if I wasn't going to give him the information that he wanted, but I didn't have the information. The only information I had was go to China, get the prophecy. what's so interesting is it was his temple where the prophecy came through.
That was the Dallas.
Not the end one, but
Oh,
the one in Xi'an,
interesting.
China. And the prophecy that came through was that there would be three surges of blue light, and they would be enormous surges that would be coming through three different pyramids. And I was given the dates of November 2019. I didn't know when the date would be in 2021, and it turned out to be November in 2021. I didn't know the date in 2023, but it turned out to be again in November. I don't know the significance of that, but they would come through and be amplified by pyramids. And they had told me that the first pyramid it would come through would be in China, and I did not know China had pyramids. I now know that we have pyramids all over the world. But there's several large ones that are aligned with Orion's belt. And that's where it first came through. But yes, the last master that I met, I just wanted to go home at that point. I was just to be a month, and not really. I knew if the star beings wanted me to go to China, I knew the answers would be there. I've done this long enough to know it was not going to be a trip, a futile trip. Something would come out of it. So I couldn't believe I was down to my last 24 hours and nothing had happened. So when I met him and he just burst into blue, he moved his energy around and he wanted to see if I could see it change. And then he started talking to me telepathically. He wanted to see, he wanted to hear if I could hear his telepathic message, which I was able to do all of those things. And then he just told me I was right on track. He still couldn't tell me what I was supposed to do with the information, but he was able to tell me I was very accurate and do not ever listen to anybody who tries to tell me otherwise. So sometimes I forget that, Sarah.
So you had that message repeatedly through your whole journey, but with him, it came in a much more beautiful format
Yes.
that kind of resonated a lot deeper. How
Yeah.
beautiful.
And he had never, for 3 years, he had never allowed guests. He hadn't, and that's why they told me you have to see him because he's willing to see you, and he has not been willing to see anybody for 3 years. So
Amazing.
yeah,
That's a message for all of us, though, really, isn't it? That listening to ourselves, at this time, that's the
yes,
shift that we're all
yes,
going through from
yes.
externalized power to sovereignty. And do you feel that the light that's been coming in has been supporting that process?
Well, it's when it first started, when it first came through, it was like this laser, like a light just cut, like it just cut through layers of density in the earth. And then the light just radiated out through the whole planet. And so that's why I always say none of us can avoid this. None of us are immune to this. It's lovely to think they have choices, but in actuality, when the frequency starts going up, you're going to be impacted by it somehow. It's just like getting in the car and, riding. You're going to be transported to whoever's driving the car. But then the second one that came through, it was more of like a gelatinous fluid. Like all of a sudden it was very fluid and it was very significant, um, in that it was almost like water, but it was like plasma. And it was like being taken to the deepest aspects of the ocean. This is the part that I think remains, it still blows my mind to this day, is to when you go to the depth of the ocean, you can go through a portal at the bottom of the ocean that comes out into outer space, into the galaxy, into stars. So there's this existing portal underneath. So there was this blue coming through, very fluid, and it was really helping to make us fluid as well. And then the third one really threw me for a loop because I I kept asking, is this next pyramid going to be in Egypt? No. Is this, it was like a guessing game, a guessing game. And I could hear the high pitch, but I just wasn't getting it. And then eventually it came through that it was in Hopi land. And they told me that the three mesas used that are pyramids. They've just been worn down through floods on the earth and time, and that they were three pyramids and that they were aligned with Orion's belt. So I went to do my research, and that's exactly what I
Wow.
found.